Hey guys, Michael with the Proper Form Podcast. Really excited for this episode today. I've got a great friend, client, and honestly, I would even say I would love to look up to Lauren and her husband just as parents and as business owners. Really excited to jump into this episode. Lauren, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm
Of
excited
course.
to be here.
Yeah, Lauren has been a client of ours at Luxury Lifestyle Training. Her and I have worked together on and off for honestly years. But Lauren's got an amazing story. She's been an entrepreneur herself. She is a mom of two awesome, handsome, almost said beautiful, beautifully handsome boys that are literally growing like weeds.
Yes.
And it's really been cool to like just kind of see in a way almost like futuristically where Sophie and I are falling into. We have a
Yeah.
third boy on the way, so please pray for us. But
I will. I will pray.
please. It's gonna be wild.
It's gonna be wonderful.
But I really do like. I think it's just. I think even whether you have maybe felt it or not, like even questions I've asked you about the boys, I also am like gathering and kind of pulling some of that information. I'm like, okay, that's what Lauren's dealing with or going with now, and this is cool. This is hard. This is just working through like the teenage years, and I'm so far from that. But it also is gonna come fast, and so I really look up to how you and Brian have nurtured them and loved them, and also juggled businesses because you guys both have had and do have businesses.
We're both business owners and have been business owners. Brian's was not necessarily because he grew up wanting to be an entrepreneur. It was he went to college for 2 years.
Yeah.
He was studying architecture. He hated school. He dropped out. He was working back at the country club on cart staff. 19 years old, and there was a member out there who was in the mortgage industry, and he knew Brian was good at math. He somehow had known that. And he was busy, and he said, I kind of need an intern. Would you want to come and like learn the business? And you're good at math. I just need someone who's a hard worker, and no one works harder than Brian Palmer. And a few years later, he ended up buying the company from him. And he just fell into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a business owner, and so am I. And it's really interesting to see what tremendously different personalities own businesses.
Yeah.
It's not all one shape.
Yeah.
You know,
and just even the type of business that it is.
Yeah.
Like there's no way, like, yes, I'm an entrepreneur, but there's no way I enjoy math. But I could not do what Brian does.
And it's all in his head, so he can have many figures moving at the same time and then get one answer that's needed. It's not my gift, that's
It's
for
fascinating.
sure.
Yeah, I respect the heck out of it. Well, man, you have some exciting things coming up. You have an awesome book coming out called The France Dance. You guys have to stick along with us to learn more about this. But your journey you didn't just wake up, maybe you did, you could share with us that like, oh, I'm going to write this book about kind of my journey and my love for culture and food and European style. Could you just take us back a little bit on, prior to really kind of when I first met you, like you were in the midst of running correct me if I'm wrong, like creative agency. You had the Art of Living Beautifully. Shared some of that and then how that's kind of guided where you are now.
Right. Well, I've been an avid journaler my entire life. From the time I was a child. I'm the youngest by 11 and 13 years.
Wow.
So I grew up alone. My father traveled all the time for work. It was just my mother and me most of the time, and she worked. And so I journaled very often as a way to talk to someone.
Yeah.
And so I've always been an avid writer in that sense. I wrote every day. I wrote by hand for decades.
That's great.
But when I went to college, I studied fashion promotion and I minored in Italian.
Okay.
I had studied Spanish for 5 years, switched languages once I got to TCU. And as a junior, I moved abroad as an exchange student.
Yeah.
And I really like to say that leaving the United States, leaving everything that I knew, I grew up here in McKinney, and then I lived in Fort Worth. That was about as traveled as I was.
Wow.
But moving abroad, it really broke the exposure barrier of my sightline.
Yeah.
I suddenly saw the world and I saw culture for the first time, and just the way that Italians live or that Europeans live that's so different than culture here in the United States. And it really resonated with me. And when I came home, I just adopted a lot of these practices into my everyday life. Well, then fast forward, it's 2013. I've had 2 boys in 3 years. They're maybe 1 and 3 at this point.
Yeah.
And I had completely lost myself.
Wow.
I was James and Caleb's mom. That was all there was left.
Yeah.
And listen, if you can be a dedicated parent, if you can be a parent and be a dedicated parent, it will make you the best version of yourself. It will make you such a better human in the long run if you are a dedicated parent, and you're doing that with the Lord. It's super hard. It's not fun. They don't say please and thank you right away. They're a little launching themselves off of furniture and spreading mashed potatoes all over the wall. It's trashing the house.
Yep.
It's so hard and exhausting. But I'm past that now.
Yeah, I'm in that.
You're in that. I'm past that. Now they just are locusts that eat everything and then need more food.
Yeah.
But in that time, I got into bed one night, and this is at that probably where y'all are. It's like, high five. Hey, Rumi, you know, that's kind of how you are with your partner for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I got into bed one night and I told Brian, the only things that I thought about today were about the boys. I didn't have one other thought than about Ninja Turtles, goldfish, sippy cup, nap time, diaper, car seats, and seatbelts. Like that was all. That's all there was in my mind. And I decided I need to do something, one, to have something to think about other than my kids. It's such an important job, but I never think it's good for anyone to spend every waking moment thinking about the well-being of another. You have to take a second to be who you are, to pour into your own cup. Otherwise, you're pouring into everyone else with an empty cup, and there's nothing left. So I thought I need something to think about other than James and Caleb, and I need to bring back these elements of life that I had loved in Europe, that I loved when I was a young college graduate living on my own, when Brian and I were first married, cooking dinner and gardening and entertaining, like things.
Yeah, things that brought you life.
Cultural things, right.
Yeah.
I need to adopt those back into my life.
Love that.
At this same time, I started wanting to write again. And I realized I wasn't a very good writer. I had mom brain. So at some culmination in 2014 of all of these things happening, I woke up one morning and the words, "The Art of Living Beautifully," were just stamped across my brain. And I ended up creating a blog. It was about bringing the parts of life back into your life, or introducing them for the first time, culturally speaking. Like, what's your own culture? Regardless of where you live or how you were brought up, what is your personal culture? How do you want to live? What's your way of life? And so I started a blog. I wanted it to make me a better writer. I wanted it to bring culture back into my life. And I wanted it to take me to the next step in a career, because I hadn't been working for a long time, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to get a job with little kids where I'm dictating, well, I can only work until 1 in the afternoon and no weekends. And if my kids are sick, I won't be able to come in. Like, I knew that just wasn't plausible. So I started The Art of Living Beautifully. It started as a blog. I ended up turning it into also a digital magazine, and then eventually a printed magazine. I did that for 6 years. And then when COVID showed up, I ended up closing the whole thing. It was the right move for sure. It was sad for me because I would worked so hard, but it was the right move. I felt like the world got quiet enough that I really couldn't avoid hearing God anymore. Like, I feel like he had probably been saying for a while, it's time. Like, this has run its course. You need to be done with this. But I was so, I was so dedicated
Yeah.
to keep moving, and that's a really important thing, I think, as entrepreneurs, that we have to be so careful about, that we don't turn our goals, our dreams into an idol.
Yes.
And that every day has to start with, God, what do you want from me today?
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's move first according to your will. You know what I want,
Yep.
but I want what you want first.
Yeah.
So I stopped publishing The Art of Living Beautifully in 2020. And over the last few years have been a really amazing renaissance for me. I've done a lot of traveling. One such trip was a trip to the south of France with a company that's here in McKinney called A Taste of Paris.
Mm-hmm.
And her name
Did you stumble upon them, or did you know of them?
I knew them. I knew Lori Fangio owns A Taste of Paris. She was my resident chef on The Art of Living Beautifully. So she created all of our culinary content, recipes, things like that. And I reached out to her and I said, I want to travel with you. She leads these culinary-centric journeys across France. I went to Provence for 11 days. I cooked my way across Provence. And while I was there, I had an idea for a book.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if it had any legs. I just was writing there because it's so beautiful. It's so inspiring for someone like me who's lived in the same town their whole life. Leaving McKinney at all is like a really, as wonderful as this community is, was this tremendous breath of fresh air. And it was so inspiring. And so I ended up writing a book called The France Dance.
Yep.
It's a fictional novel. It's about an American ballerina who moves to the south of France. And we're just over 96,000 words right now.
That's crazy.
That's final. It's finished. It's all done. It's ready. It publishes April the 8th.
Yes.
And crazy, I decided to write another book in November, which has published. It's called 11 Days in a Carry-On, and it's a travel and packing diary about the trip that I took to Provence that inspired the book.
Yes. So that would be a good encourager for anyone listening to go download that, get it. You can find the 11-day on Kindle. Is that correct?
It's on Kindle, yes.
But that won't be like a paper copy, right? Or like a hardback.
It actually will. I'm working on the it is going to be
so
a paper.
So people could buy it or get it ordered to their house.
Yeah. And by the time this airs, it may be ready.
Yeah. And then they could read that. Would you almost kind of say, correct me if I'm wrong on the book lingo, like kind of the forward, the introduction to the France Dance? Is that going to help kind of set the tone and the picture?
So you could 100% read the France Dance first, absolutely, and then be curious enough about it to want to read 11 Days. But yes, 11 Days is definitely the precursor. It sets the stage of where I was when I wrote it.
That's crazy. That's so cool. Okay, so you started writing the book. If we kind of go back a little bit on, you had an amazing trip. Obviously, you love your boys. You love the boys and Brian. But like anyone could probably agree, like being able to get away from the hustle and bustle of your day-to-day, your madness of your little bubble, and go overseas to a place that's just absolutely beautiful and have such a clear mind, amazing food, amazing culture. All of that has just kind of brought together you writing the France Dance. And when you had that moment that you were like, I think I'm gonna write about this. I'm journaling about it while I'm here. Like, how did you come up with the concept of the ballerina? And I think I know a little bit of like the dance through that. Could you elaborate, maybe without giving away too much, on
how I came up with the concept of the book?
Yeah.
So while I was there, I knew I wanted to write. I had this really unique opportunity to go to Europe alone when I have a husband and 2 children.
Yeah,
how does that happen? And I have the most amazing husband who always supports my insane, outlandish ideas. So when I said, I want to go to France with Lori.
But I don't want you to go with me.
Well, and I even said, do you want to go? And he was like, I'm good.
Yeah.
And he loves to travel, but this was kind of more of a female-centered
Yeah,
trip. And
totally.
so he's like, I think I'm good. And I said, well, can I go? He's like, go.
Yeah.
He will do anything for me.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Like, let's make it happen.
Yeah.
So I was in this really unique space where I'm in Provence alone.
Yeah.
And
So cool.
I knew I wanted to write. At this point, it was 2023. I'd closed The Art of Living Beautifully 3 years prior, and I just hadn't been writing.
Yeah.
And I am a writer. I love to write, and I love to create, and I love to pretend and imagine stories. And so while I was there, I thought, I am surrounded with culture and food and flavor and color and beauty.
Yes. Yeah.
I need to give myself some sort of a prompt other than just journaling. Like, I can journal, but I wanted to write a story.
Yeah.
And I made these goals for myself when I first got to France. Like, what are my goals for this trip? And one of them was to figure out what I want to write next.
Yeah.
And so I gave myself a prompt. I was staying in this wonderful little village called Saint-Rémy. And I thought, well, if I were to write a book that took place in this village, what would it be about? So that was the first prompt that I gave myself.
Yeah.
And one night we were at dinner, and it was myself, and my group was 6 other women, and then Lori. And I didn't know any of these women. Like,
Nice.
I just flew to France and met some strangers and Lori, and we just cooked and ate our way
But they were all
across
from
Provence. They're all Americans.
From this area?
No.
No, from all over. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Dang.
She leads people from all over the country.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were sitting at dinner one night, and Lori was telling us that she had belonged to a ballet company in her youth. And she ended up leaving the company because of a very unhealthy weight goal they had given her. Like, she's a little tiny thing, and they had given her this really unhealthy weight, and she just realized this isn't for me.
Yeah. Wow.
And it seemed like such a full circle moment for me, because Lori was in the south of France, having led all these American women to appreciate flavor and food and gastronomy. And she probably wouldn't have been doing this if she had stayed and pursued that career, or at least with that company. And not to say that industry is bad. I love ballet. I'm a former ballerina myself. I think it's the most beautiful art form in the world, truly. It's just amazing to get to watch ballet. But for in this conversation and seeing, it was obviously the right move for Lori to leave and to develop. She's an entrepreneur, to develop this business herself. And I just couldn't stop thinking about a ballerina that leaves the stage for Provence.
Yeah.
And so that's how the story came about.
That's so cool. And kind of in a very unique, similar, but completely different way. Like, there's still so much beauty that it sounds like Lori has been able to like create through these experiences and through the food and through the culture and just the bringingness, if that's a word, of people together. The gathering. Thank you. Sophie will be like, here he goes, making up words again. But yeah, the gathering of, like you just said, like people all over the U.S. You just jumped on a plane and you're trusting her to lead, and there's some really cool beauty in the dance of that. And so
exactly,
cool.
And you bring with whatever you. She brings such grace and elegance with her to this day in what she does, which is a testament to her to ballet training. Like, it stays with you. Always take the great parts with you. Leave the bad and take the great with you. Because there will be good in parts to all things that you do in life.
Yeah, that's really good. And it's hard to not kind of like mourn maybe the bad of things or the bad pieces or parts of you from a past or from another experience, but to like be okay that that wasn't perfect, to acknowledge it, and then just to continue to move on and continue to blossom and grow. And that's super cool, man. All right, well, I wanted to ask you, you've got a cool little bio. If you guys haven't, you can check out all of Lauren's links and her Instagram. I want to get that when we finish up. I'll have you shout out all of those. But you also have your Amazon storefront, is that correct, for the book?
Yes.
And not all three, but both the 11-day and then the France Dance will be on there at this time.
Correct. So it's an Amazon author page.
Yeah,
so you can go to Lauren Palmer author and up will pop my page with whatever books have been published.
Sweet.
Yes.
And you've got a cool bio on there. And I really loved how you talked about, I've got it here. As a writer, Lauren strives to create escape for her readers, something she accomplishes through whimsical settings and relatable characters. This is a cool part. I was like, I want to dive deeper into this. Her writing is full of both color and flavor, two elements she believes always lead to healing. I'm sure there's a reason why you said color and flavor are elements that lead to healing. Could you share personally how that has impacted you, color and flavor, and then also how you have brought that into your writing and how you feel like that can impact your readers or your audience?
Sure. So after I closed The Art of Living Beautifully, I had to take some time to heal from the sadness that brought, but also that when I look back at that time, those 6 years, I can't believe I survived. It was the hardest I have ever worked in my life. Just the grueling hours that I put in, coupled with having little children.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, they were 2 and 4 when I started it. Like I had a kid in diapers in a crib.
Yeah.
It's hard to work outside of the home when you have little ones.
Yep.
But I was working in the home.
Yeah.
I was a stay-at-home. I had like 2 full-time jobs, stay-at-home mom and The Art of Living Beautifully.
Yep.
So when I closed that down, I had to take some time to heal, like I said, from the sadness, but what I had put myself through. And this a little bit goes back to being careful that things don't become an idol, because idols don't work.
Yeah.
They just don't. They have zero amount of strength to do anything, but you put all of your focus into it.
It just takes everything from you.
It takes everything from you. It rips out your insides. So I had to heal from what I had done to myself by forgetting for making something an idol, which I completely had. I didn't even know. I didn't even notice that I had, because I'm praying the whole way. Help me do this. I would decide what I wanted, and then I would say to God, help me do this. Instead of stopping and saying, what should I do? And then being quiet and listening. Like that's a key part in having a relationship with God. Is like, it's not just about you.
Yeah.
It's about what the creator of the universe, who knows literally everything, wants for you.
Yeah.
So while I'm healing from this, I realized I had just lost myself, like who I was. I've always loved color, just the element of color. My mother is an artist. And so I grew up with her art studio in our home.
That's cool.
And I was always surrounded by art and art supplies and color and paper and paint and markers. So color, I just love the element. I need a lot of color around me. It literally feels good for me to have color around me.
Yep.
So I close The Art of Living Beautifully. I start healing. And the only thing I know to do is, how can I feel the most like myself?
Yeah.
What does that even look like? On the most basic level, I love food. I love to cook. I love traveling
Yeah.
too. Those are the most basic things that I know I like.
Yeah, it brings you life.
It brings me life. It brings me inspiration.
Yeah. And does that tie in a little bit to, sorry to interrupt you,
No.
the other piece in your bio that says that culture can be personalized to fit one's authentic self, regardless of geographical location, upbringing, or surroundings. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. So it's creating a personal culture for me is the definition of the art of living beautifully. That's how for me, that's how I would live beautifully. The art of living beautifully is creating a culture that's a way of life that is beautiful to me, that's healing to me, that's uplifting to me, that's healthy for me, that looks the way that I want it to, that feels the way that I want it to, and all of these elements that go into culture.
Yeah.
And so as I was going through these healing years, flavor, color, travel, all those things made me feel the most like myself. Of course, coupled with holding the hand of God and inviting him in to heal me from what this this broken world and the distractions had done. And that's what I think leads to healing, is when you find the elements of yourself that feel the most like you and restoring those.
Yes.
That's what's healing to me. And regarding creating escape, I've been a mother before of young children, and even some days now with a 15-year-old and a 13-year-old, but especially when they were little, when they physically and emotionally need you so much. I didn't have the opportunity, I didn't have the funds to take off to France. I would have loved that, but that wasn't really where I needed to be. I needed to be with my dudes at home.
Yes.
Mothering them.
Yeah, and even in a way that wouldn't have been the same trip that you've had over the past. It would have just been an escape to breathe, not to enjoy the art of beauty that you define as.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's with my books, that's what I want to create for a mom who maybe can't head off to the south of France, but needs a little escape from our everyday life. We all need a little escape from our everyday life. And that's what I want to create with my books, is just a little escape for you. You can, if you have 10 minutes, go read a chapter, escape a little bit. I focus a lot on my settings.
Yeah.
There's a lot of color, a lot of description. I focus a lot on these whimsical settings, places that don't look like where I live.
Yeah.
And then these relatable characters. My characters are flawed people.
Yeah.
They're coming from flawed situations just like I was. These situations that were not good for them. And I try, my books aren't necessarily what I say Christian books. They probably wouldn't fall under that genre. But I think you see the Lord woven through these stories. And that's my goal. And I want them to be approachable for people who maybe don't find themselves necessarily going to church or in prayer or relating with Christianity or a faith. And because I don't want it to scare them away.
Yeah.
If this is just a Christian book, I don't want them to think, well, I'm not a Christian, so I don't want to read that.
Yeah.
I want it to be available for anyone who just wants a fun read.
Yes.
And I want my characters to be approachable and relatable. They are coming from a flawed place, but I take them through a journey where you can be in a dark, dark place, but there is light. And you invite the light in.
Yeah.
You invite love in. You can find healing. There's color. There's flavor in my books. Yeah.
That's so cool. Well, I'm excited to personally read it, listen to it, either one. because I feel like in a unique way, I've had the opportunity to hear a lot of
I know
the
you've heard,
background.
you've heard
But I
about
think
it along the way.
it's really cool because I'm such a visual person, and the way you've talked about your trips, like you're writing based off of places you've actually been. You're
Yeah,
not just this Texan girl imagining what it would be like in Europe and through Italy. Like you have walked these streets
I
that
have.
you're writing about, and so I'm excited to, in a way, be even more connected to the book because I'm in McKinney. I've been in the same bubble you have. I know these streets like you know them, but I don't know those streets
Mm-hmm.
in that area. And so like I feel like in a way you've kind of already painted some of that picture through some of our time together
Mm-hmm.
training. And I'm excited to like actually read it even more in
And
depth.
6 months after I returned
Yeah.
from Provence, I went back.
Yeah.
I went back in February of last year.
Yeah. 24.
Yeah, for 5 days. It was a whirlwind trip. And I literally went back because I needed to see 3 or 4 places again so I
Yeah.
could get the description
Remember that.
right.
Yes.
And yeah, I went back I stayed in the same place and
Mm-hmm.
kind of reestablished those same
Yeah.
footsteps. And
And that kind of helped like put a confidence seal on like as you were wrapping up.
it didn't have a choice. Like,
Yeah.
well, I guess I'm doing this because I'm going back
Yeah.
and finishing this book.
That's so
So
cool.
I think it's good to remember, especially as a creative, as a creator,
Mm-hmm.
your work is never done, but it is due. Like
Mm.
you're going to have to just stop. I will be one of those people in 10 years if I open up the France Dance file, I'll move words around.
Yeah.
Still,
Yeah.
10 years later,
Or like change the story a little bit.
well, yeah, like I don't like this sentence. I
Yeah.
will wordsmith forever.
That's good. Yeah.
But you do have to just decide, well, it's due, so we're going to just be
Yes.
done.
That's great. That is good for entrepreneurs and just like perfectionists to hear. Like you can do it, but set the due date.
Yeah.
Find a finish line.
Or you'll mess with it forever.
Yeah.
I say this same thing to Brian because he's such a thinker.
Yeah.
He needs to think in order to process. He needs to schedule think time.
Yeah.
It's his think time, but his think time needs an alarm to go off or he'll think about it forever.
Yeah.
And you have to like don't let your gift be a curse, you know?
Yes. Yeah. That's
Just
really good.
set yourself a deadline.
I mean, that's awesome. I'm excited. I really appreciate you sharing. And even just as we've talked through this, like I think even if you guys look through Lauren's social media, you see her stories, you see her platforms, like consciously, subconsciously, now that you hear her story, like you're just gonna like I just see color and flavor throughout your page, throughout your personality, the way you dress, the way your personality is, the way you hold yourself. I think there's beauty in that, no pun intended to the art of beauty. But it's cool to kind of hear and understand even more of that story. Like I'm looking at your purse across the room that's not here, and like even that's full of color.
It is.
And it's just, and even your house is obviously beautiful, and Humble Brag has like been featured in a couple. It was in a magazine.
It was, yeah.
And there's a breath of fresh air. I feel, and I think others would agree that are in your circle and that love you and care about you that would agree with, yeah, all those things. You are full of color, life, flavor, and I'm excited to
Thank
see the
you.
France Dance.
Thank you very much. I'll
Yeah.
save you a copy.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on here. So as we do wrap up, can you share the exact date that it's going to be available? We're going to have this podcast coming out right then,
Okay.
around that same time. And then where can people find you? Where can we follow you? All of that.
Sure. So the France Dance, well, first of all, 11 Days in a Carry-On is available on Amazon now. Right now it's an ebook, but it will be available. Spoiler.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. It will be available in a paperback as well.
Cool.
And that's coming. But the France Dance will be available hardcover, paperback, also in an ebook format. And then we will see about Audible moving forward. But that's available April the 8th.
Yep.
Okay. On Amazon.
All right.
My website is laurenpalmermedia.com.
Great.
You can stick your email in there. And if you want to keep up with things, I just send out emails with announcements.
Yeah.
I don't sell those. I don't even, I
Mhm.
wouldn't even know how to do that, but I
Yeah,
don't.
it kinda
It's just
updates.
me. Yeah, it's just updates me. I think the best way to keep up with me though is Instagram.
Okay.
And my handle on Instagram is The Art of Living Beautifully. I never changed it
Yeah.
after we stopped publishing,
Yep.
because I still, it's kind of the theme of my life
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
developing a personal
That's
culture
great.
and
I'm
living
glad you kept that.
beautifully. Yeah. So The Art of Living Beautifully is where you find me on Instagram, and that's kind of, I don't have TikTok, I don't have Facebook. I have a personal Facebook, but I never post on it.
Yeah.
I don't have YouTube. Like, I don't have all these different channels. I really just have Instagram.
Okay.
So that's the best place to go.
Yep.
You don't need to follow me on every platform there is, because I'm not there.
Yeah.
I'm really just on Instagram.
And
The
the
Art of
France
Living
Dance.
Beautifully.
You started a France Dance
The
page.
France Dance does have a handle on Instagram, but it's connected with The Art of Living Beautifully. So
Yep.
you'll see me either way.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming on today.
Thank you for having
Seriously.
me. Truly.
Yeah.
We talked about this months ago, like
Yeah,
possibly
I know.
doing something, and now
Yep.
here we are. It
And
happened.
I know when I was putting together kind of, this next round of shooting, I'm like, oh my gosh, like we were talking about this and it's already here. So
Yeah.
I'm glad we got it scheduled
Same.
and got you on and we're able to have the conversation and talk about the France Dance.
Thank
So,
you.
yes.
Thank you very
All
much
right, you
for having
guys,
me.
that's all we've got. Thank you so much for listening to this episode with Lauren Palmer of the Proper Form Podcast. Can't wait for you guys to hear more. See you later.